Okay, what's up, y'all? We are back. Oh, let me back up a little bit. I'm shaking the desk. But what's up, y'all? We are back with another News Tuesday. And of course, every Tuesday at 7 p.m., I go over the latest news that affects veterans most. Okay? So, welcome back for another segment. And we're going to start off here. Let me get my notes out. And we are going to start out with the nationwide veterans protest set for D-Day. Now, on June 6, 2025, veterans across the U.S. plan to protest the new administration's proposed cuts to the VA. Demonstrations are scheduled at the National Mall and also 16 state capitals and over 100 other locations nationwide. These protests aim to oppose staff reductions and potential privatization of VA services, which veterans fear could compromise their health care and benefits. Also, with veterans comprising of 24% of the federal workforce, these demonstrations aim to defend veteran jobs as well. So, of course, you might have one in your area. I'll post a link to all of these articles in the comments after I'm done with the live feed, and yeah, I encourage you to support. Um, Yeah, I definitely agree with the 24% of federal jobs or the federal workforce is veterans. I know a lot of veterans I work with at the USDA. Also, in another segment, VA disability benefits increase with COLA adjustment. Veterans are receiving higher monthly disability payments due to a 3.2% cost of living adjustment, which means COLA, and that's effective June 2025. So this month, for instance, a veteran with a 100% disability rating now receives $3,800.57, up from $3,700.37. So a little over 100 bucks. This increase aims to help veterans keep pace with the rising living costs. So another great benefit about having a disability rating and collecting compensation from the VA, because every year you get that COLA adjustment. For me, I'm 70%, so I usually get about $1,809 a month. So now I'm getting 1,900 and $8 a month. So I got 100 bucks of an increase, which I'm not mad at. Of course, if this wasn't in place, like it would definitely devalue our monthly compensation year over year. Like especially if you had it for what, a decade, or was collecting for maybe 2 decades or three, like that would substantially lower. Like you would feel that. So I'm very thankful for that. Next segment: Vietnam veterans memorial events relocated. For the first time in over 30 years, the annual In Memory ceremony honoring Vietnam veterans will not be held at the National Mall due to a large military parade planned in Washington, D.C. on June 14th. The event has been moved to the George Washington Masonic National Memorial in Alexandria, Virginia. The relocation has caused disappointment among families of the 774 veterans to be honored. Yeah, as you know, it's a big parade going on. It's the Army's birthday, and it's also our current president is also celebrating his birthday at the same time. So it's going to be a huge event that week. Also, um, and this is kind of like a fun fact, I guess. I work for the USDA, and the National Guard is occupying our building in order for it to be nearby that mall, and so they can have that parade. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that things are getting moved to Alexandria. Alexandria is a beautiful city. Um, it seems like yeah, some people are going to be disappointed, but unfortunately, yeah, they got the boot. That I'm assuming that's going to be a huge parade. So it's going to be hard to have anything around that time, since normally when big parades happen, they block off quite a bit of DC. So let's see. Next up, the Bay Veterans Foundation in Bay City, Michigan offers vocational training and community support for veterans. Programs include welding, woodworking, and something called Guitars to Vets, which provides free guitar lessons and instruments. Veterans credit the foundation with helping them transition. Veterans credit the foundation with helping them transition to civilian life and providing a sense of purpose. I ain't mad at that. Shout out to Bay City, Michigan, and whichever city you're in. Make sure you look up on certain websites to see what's going on in your area. Like, there's always veteran events going on, and if it's not in your city, it could be one close by, or it could be something virtual. Make sure you look up the different types of programs out there that can help veterans with education, getting certifications in certain job fields, or even career transitioning services. I mean, the benefits are it's a lot of programs out there. So make sure you take advantage of them. The one thing I remember from TAP class was, um, if you ever need help finding a job, look for your state's Department of Labor. And so the lady mentioned that every state has a different name for their Department of Labor, but it's basically that. And I live in the DMV area. So Virginia is the Virginia Employment Commission, so the VEC. DC is it's called DOES, and it's Department of Employment Services. And then Maryland has one called what is it? AJC, which is American Job Center. So that's also how I got my federal job. So I worked with them for a few years. Basically, in all three states, I had a caseworker that was working with me. And when the pandemic hit, one of them, the one in DC, sent me the direct hire um, job opportunity, the listing for it, and he vouched for me. Because I worked with him for a few years, and I did everything he asked of me. So, and that's how I got that my first federal position. And I encourage all of you to make sure you have a caseworker in all of the surrounding states that you're in. Now, of course, if you're not a resident in that state, you may have less benefits that you'll have access to. But for the most part, man, like, it's really good, especially if you're disabled as well, because you get put at the front of the line. So you're always going to have access to your caseworker. So it's a pretty good thing. I remember when I was looking for a job, and for those couple years, something like gainful, something substantial, a career move, and yeah, the the programs that I came across were amazing. Now, I couldn't take advantage of all of them at of course, with such little time, but it was quite a few of them, like Hiring Our Heroes. And that they basically have a 6-week like paid internship program, to where I was a combat engineer, and I was trying to transition to IT, because of course being a combat engineer doesn't really, or infantryman, which is pretty similar, doesn't really translate to much outside of law enforcement. So going into IT was great, especially with having that internship, because as you know, with transitioning to a new career, they want you to have the education and the experience. And it can be pretty hard to get that experience. Of course, we can get the education pretty simple. Well, with the commitment, because we have our GI Bill, but and Voc Rehab. So yeah, so that after I went through that 6-week program, the company hired me full time. So that was my very first IT job, which was a great experience. So I encourage you, veterans, always stay on top of the new programs that's coming out. And when you get a caseworker for each one of these states, that with the Department of Labor, they put you in their email blast, so you start to get those any type of news that's going on. They'll send you things like like uh like job they'll send you job offers, or not job offers, but job listings before they even come out to the public. They'll send it to you a few days before. They'll send you the latest programs that are out, or things like that, so you can be ahead of the curve. So I highly encourage this, vets. Okay, so next up, we got, in this segment, it's mental health and self-harm prevention. So this is kind of tough to hear, but CBP officer, his self-harm highlights mental health gaps. So the self-harm of a or the passing of a 53-year-old veteran and U.S. Border Customs and Border Protection officer in Laredo, Texas, has underscored deficiencies in mental health support. Despite seeking help from CBP's Safe Harbor program and the VA, the officer succumbed to PTSD, prompting calls for improved mental health services for veterans. So basically, what I was reading up on this story was that he was trying to get help and he wasn't getting. He was basically put in. He wasn't getting a response in time, and he committed self harm. Um, that's very unfortunate, and I hope this does push the CBP to um, better their program, their safe harbor program. Next up, the VA allocates 52 million in self-harm prevention. So they announced 52 million in grants aimed at funding community-based self-harm prevention and emergency clinical services programs for veterans at risk. Fantastic. Sounds like a nice size grant too, to help a lot of organizations with that. VA policy and workforce changes. So the VA lifts the hiring freeze for critical roles. Now, when I seen this, oh boy, I was elated. So the VA has exempted over 100 healthcare related positions from a government-wide hiring freeze, including several support roles at the Veterans Crisis Line to address staffing shortages and improve veteran care. Yeah, this is phenomenal news. It's I wish it never happened, but it did. But gladly now they're doing something about it. So kudos to the VA for that. Benefits and compensation updates. So 2025 VA disability rating changes. Now y'all want to listen up for this. This is pretty crucial. Significant updates to the VA rating system are in effect, including mental health evaluations now focus on symptom severity rather than social or occupational impact. Also, you have sleep apnea ratings have been adjusted, with CPAP users potentially receiving a 10% rating, which is down from a 50% rating. Also, standalone tinnitus ratings have been eliminated completely. All right, so the next segment is policy and oversight. VA research publication restrictions. VA physicians, physicians and scientists have been ordered not to publish in medical journals or speak publicly without prior clearance from political appointees, raising concerns about censorship and transparency. That's uh that's pretty interesting. I encourage y'all to read up more about that. Um, very interesting topic or situation. The next segment, community and recognition. So, traveling Vietnam Wall visits Connecticut. A replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, the wall that heals, was displayed in Walcott, Connecticut, drawing thousands of visitors and honoring over 58,000 fallen service members. That's awesome. I encourage y'all to check out that article too, so y'all can really see the display of that wall. And if you can, go on that website and see if they're traveling near you. Make sure you show up and support. Yellow Ribbon Honor Flight schedule. So, as part of the EAA Air Venture Oshkosh 2025 100 Vietnam War veterans will participate in the Yellow Ribbon Honor Flight to Washington, D.C., visiting national war memorials and receiving a hero's welcome upon return. That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. And as you know, it's a lot of different veteran memorials and places to stop in the DMV area around Washington, D.C. Um, so always a good time. Mental, and the last segment is mental health and recreation. VFW launches esports suite. A veteran, a VFW post in North Texas has unveiled a state-of-the-art esports gaming facility. This initiative aims to support veterans' mental health by fostering camaraderie and providing a recreational outlet. Yeah, that's dope. I remember like when we went out to Europe for a box rotation. Well, we actually went 3 different times, but I remember they had like at the USO they had this nice game room. Like it was dope. They had like 5 or 6 TVs and they had like game systems laid out and stuff like that. And then they had another spot where you could watch movies and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. It was a nice safe haven. I would go there, of course, when everybody else wasn't there, like either early in the morning, like when they first opened up, or you know, in the early afternoon or something like that. And I would just go and watch movies left and right. But yeah, so that's the end of News Tuesday. And of course, I am Ryan Rowley with Simple Benefits or Simple Vet Benefits. What I do is I teach veterans about their benefits, especially with this channel, specifically VA claims. So, of course, if you're looking to increase your rating or learn the process from the start, if you don't have any background knowledge at all, if you want to learn how to keep your VSO more accountable, or if you need to appeal if you got denied, or just want to know what to do next, or even uh, want to learn or even get your next steps mapped out for you. I have a lot of different services, well, a few different services that I provide. Like I said, I have a VA claims course that teaches you and gets you knowledgeable about the VA claims process so you can understand what you need to do in most situations and have an understanding of VA claims in general. Because from my experience with veterans, a lot of veterans, is that it's a lot of misconceptions that are out there and a lot of myths that veterans aren't aware of. And I think understanding those and even I guess creating a more realistic expectation based on that knowledge helps with this process tremendously. So in order to access that, the VA claims, the vet rating guide, which is my course, or to get scheduled with a one-on-one strategy call, visit simplevetbenefits.com. That's all I got for today, folks. Have a great night.